Welcome to Continue Mission Radio with Captain James McCormick. By veterans, for veterans. Guest hosts tonight are author Greg Meekin and Miss Val, our military radio gal. Continue Mission starts now.
You got me headed to the left, headed to the right, headed back and forth, but baby, it's alright. You got me going to the east, going to the west, going up and down, 'cause baby, you know best. All day, all night, running around, I'm never gonna stop because you never settle down. Got me shooting into space, flying at the sun. I'm never coming back 'cause baby, you're the...
Good evening, America. Good evening, world. It's October 17th, 2025, and this show is coming to you from the great state of Arizona. This is the world premiere of Continue Mission Radio on the Veteran Channel. As most of you know, Captain James McCormick is the leader of our pack. I am Val Olson, and I am here today at my kitchen table, as usual, with Captain James and the one, the only Greg Meekin. This is the most exciting show ever, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it as your facilitator. It's the official relaunch of Continue Mission Radio. For more than a decade, Continue Mission has been produced by veterans for veterans. So let's light the fuse. Buckle up, everyone. Welcome back to Continue Mission. Greg Meekin, I am thrilled to welcome you to the stage. And what is on your heart today?
Well, you're thrilled to have me on today. That's awesome. I have at least one person in the world that's thrilled to see me on the radio. Val Olson. Val Olson. Miss Val, our military radio gal. Also, forget Tokyo Rose. You're known as our Alberta Rose. Okay. Welcome back, Val Olson. Speaking to you directly, not even to our listeners out there. We're almost 4 years broadcasting together. You'll see Continue Mission roll out here in the next hour. And Continue Mission is a radio institution. It's almost a decade old. In 2016, it'll be 10-year anniversary of Continue Mission Radio, Val. And I peeked at my YouTube today. There are 133 videos just with Captain James McCormick on there. So this is really an anniversary. It's a relaunch. It's a rebirth. It's a retire. It's a redeploy of a wonderful, wonderful decades-old brand. And I'll tell you what, Continue Mission is a decade old, but the mission is hundreds of years old and really starts for Captain McCormick with the Vietnam veterans. Starts with those guys. You'll hear about them from James tonight. So what's on my heart is welcome to the Veteran Channel. Welcome to Continue Mission Radio with Captain James McCormick. You'll get to know him a little bit. I'd love to hear from all of you, comments, whatever, shares. Thank you, Val. Thank you, Val Olson, for facilitating this and launching this show, this platform, the Veteran Channel, to hopefully brand new heights on a continued mission. Go ahead, Val. We're going to introduce the one, the only Captain James McCormick. Val, go ahead.
So we are reaching 16.9 million vets across the United States of America, and we leave no one behind. So you can watch us on demand. Some of you are joining live through Roku, Apple Prime, also on Facebook and all over the world. So we don't want to leave anyone behind, like I said. So we're going to get your names on. William Burnside is here tonight. He says, "Hi there, Greg."
Will Burnside, welcome to the show. Thanks for opining. Thanks for tuning in. Will
Yeah.
from Arizona. There's a nice guy. Go ahead, Val.
So we want to get your names on the air. So please share this broadcast. If you're watching on Facebook, share it on your page. Sharing is caring. Don't forget that. And we are thrilled to have Captain James. He is the leader of our pack here. And Greg, take a minute and introduce Captain James. I'm going to just go offset here for a minute and get things ready.
It is my pleasure to introduce the one, the only, Captain James McCormick, who is my friend and Val Olson's friend and the friend of all military veterans out there. God bless us that we can be present and accounted for this show. A lot of friends and family members are not blessed that way. They don't see today. So we have today's show. And we have the most cool guy I've ever met in my life. You'll learn a lot about him here. And it's Captain James McCormick, 3-time Purple Heart Award winner, former national commander of the military order of the Purple Heart. Val, cue music. Let's bring just James on and see what he's got to say.
Good evening, America. This is my plea and my prayer to this nation. We started Continue Mission nearly 10 years ago, and the goal of Continue Mission was to not just continue our mission as veterans, as patriots, as those that love America, but it was to bring the civil dialogue and the unity that has made America great for nearly 250 years. America started as a dream of freedom. And from the first shots fired at the Battle of Concord and on Lexington Greens and the Battle of Bunker Hill, that freedom has been tested. It was tested when the British invaded us again in the War of 1812 to try to destroy our fragile existence, our United States of America, the dream that became a constitutional republic and has not changed in 250 years. Our country was tested once again, ripped apart in a great civil war, started because of a group that no longer wanted to be the United States of America. Instead, they wanted to be a loose confederation of states who clung to state rights and who saw those state rights as giving them the ability to enslave men to do their work. Over 400,000 Americans lost their life securing the freedom that we enjoy today. That freedom was tested again in the Battle of San Juan Hill when Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders rode up and chased an oppressor from Spain to give a country an opportunity for freedom. Once again tested in France, in the fields, Flanders fields, where many lay. Thousands of young men gave their last full ounce of life for our freedom. It was tested again when we were brutally attacked on December 7th, 1941, a day that shall live in infamy. Maybe some people have forgotten that. I have not. They continued this fight through the Pacific, through the early bloody days in the Battle of Guadalcanal, when the backs of America was against the wall. Young men came from every city, every village in America, and they came together in a united effort. And they rallied behind our flag, regardless of how they believed and regardless of what political side they were on. They knew who the enemy truly was. And the enemy is anyone that is against freedom. They continued that fight in the battle to stop communism and its spread into South Korea. Today, we have a South Korea. That battle and that war against communism and its spread continued through the fields of Vietnam. They fought in rice paddies, in the Central Highlands, and in the mountains, and at a place called Khe Sanh, where over 58,000 Americans laid down their lives in the name of American freedom. No matter what you think of that war, communism was stopped. It was not allowed to spread beyond the borders of Vietnam. And eventually, that war in Vietnam, whether you like it or not, led to the ultimate fall of the Soviet Union and its bloc countries in late 1989. We were tested once again and asked to come and help an oppressed nation of Kuwait because they were brutally raped and assaulted by Saddam Hussein and his malicious army. We fought a 3-day lightning war that began with a 30-day air campaign unlike anything you'd ever seen. As a young man watching this from the front lines, I knew then that our country was the strongest country in the world. And the way that we maintain peace is through strength and common sense. We laid low and we allowed the enemy in our country. And on 9/11, they showed us exactly what they think about your freedom. When radical Islamic terrorists with Al-Qaeda flew aircraft into the Twin Towers and into the Pentagon, and where a brave and courageous group of Americans came together and brought that plane down in a field in Pennsylvania, saving countless lives while sacrificing theirs. As a man looking at this, I knew where my place was. We went to Iraq and we went to Afghanistan, not because of whatever fictitious beliefs that you think that they were, but it was solely to take on the enemy on their ground and not have to fight them in the streets of America. I fought through the streets of Baghdad and Fallujah, and I can tell you, it was no picnic. And you don't want anything like that coming to the streets of America. Here we are 25 years later. Have we forgot? I think we have. You know, John F. Kennedy said it himself. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Our country is a constitutional republic. We are not a pure democracy. That is a lie that continues to be told time and time again by people that do not understand the history of this great nation. We have had days recently where some of the greatest men that I ever learned about in my life, men like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, their very integrity was questioned. They were called bigots and racist and would be called a fascist today because of their beliefs, because of the way that they felt, and because of their inability, as some would say, to be accepting to all things. We are accepting to people. We have a way that you enter this nation in a legal and proper way. And you come here and you learn our language and you assimilate to the American ways. Sharia law has no place in the United States of America. Marxism, socialism, communism, none of those things have a seat at the table with freedom-loving American citizens. I say this as a citizen of this great country who has fought in 2 wars and bled for this nation and watched good young men die. They gave all of their tomorrows for our today. I will not sit silent and allow that sacrifice to be made in vain. So as we look today, we have lost the ability to have civil conversation. It has grown worse now than I've ever seen. Our soldiers were on the streets of the nation's capital. Whether you believe in it or not, many of those troops were spit upon and called fascists and murderers and killers, much like the veterans of Vietnam, who returned to an ungrateful nation. And because of that, they formed their own organization and they pulled together for the greater good of all veterans and all of America. Do not think for 1 minute that that generation is not patriotic. It sickens them to see people burn the flag, but they know that it is allowed as an exercise of their freedoms, as long as they haven't stolen it. I personally think it's a disgrace and a dishonor to this great nation and to every young American that laid still in a coffin with one of those flags draped across it. You dishonor them. You're not making a political statement. You're making a statement against the very foundation of our nation. God has blessed America. We are a nation of the people, by the people, and for the people. And the people assembled and came together. And they elect their leaders. And just because you lose and your candidate does not win, does not give you the right to riot and to burn and to destroy or to point the finger. But what about this? What about that time? What about this time? We need to stop doing that. America, my plea to you today and my prayer to God Almighty is for us to pull it together before we fall apart. Because the wolves have once again moved into our nation, much like they did in the days leading up to 9/11. And they've masked themselves in these groups known as Antifa, calling themselves, we're anti-fascists like the Americans. Remember, the Marxists were Antifa too. The Marxists, Russians, the Soviet Union, their claim to fame was to be anti-fascist. This group shares that same ideology. What you see today is more akin to the Bolshevik revolution of 1917 than any kind of revival of American patriotism or spirit. Anyone that has to use violence and hatred to get their message across, they're spreading the wrong message. Our entire world was rocked when we saw the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I've heard people speak so ill of this man, and they accuse him of everything, being a racist, being a bigot. They said the same thing about Abraham Lincoln, and the same kind of people and the same kind of person assassinated him too, while he sat in that booth in Ford Theater. Because Abraham Lincoln, he was going to free the slaves. The war was over. But they couldn't take it. And what they did is they put a bullet in the head of Abraham Lincoln, and they put a bullet through Charlie Kirk, and they thought they would silence our freedom and our voice. But they only amplified it. You have woken a sleeping giant. The American people will not stand for this, and the veterans of this country, we cannot stand for this. We took an oath. And if you can't see that crime has infested not only our nation's capital, but the cities all across America, and our police forces are overwhelmed, then you're not looking. Because I have personally been to nearly all of these cities. And I can tell you, we have a big problem. We have a problem when American citizens are afraid to walk out of their house. Not just at night, but at any time. And that has been what's going on. And you see a movement that masquerades itself as, we're just here to help all people. I want you to study in your history books about the Bolshevik Revolution. And I want you to look at the freedom that they proposed to bring to the people. Free housing, low-cost medical care, a job for everyone, food at an affordable price, no more kings, no more royal families. And they took the Tsar and his entire family and they murdered them in cold blood. And we have people today that not only cheek to tongue talk about it, but they openly call for it. And we cannot allow that. You could have never worn the cloth of this nation and burn that flag and go against everything that we took an oath to defend. For when you do that, you have taken a side against freedom and against the American way. And I would ask you, why have we allowed that to happen? I'm James McCormick. This is Continue Mission. We are back, baby. We're going to be back, and we're going to be taking this to the next level, because America now gets to see us on Roku TV and the Veteran Channel. They get to hear us on Facebook, StreamYard, and probably 18 other platforms that are out there. And we need to come together as a nation. I don't think it's too late, but there is a very radical movement in this country. And unless we come together now, we're going to lose it. I wrote a piece, and I would like to hopefully read it to you. And when I put this piece on Facebook, I had a couple of people come on cussing me out, calling me a fascist. Well, let me read this to you. Introduction. When did American patriotism become fascism? In recent years, we've watched an alarming transformation in how patriotism is now portrayed in America. Qualities that were once defined as a good citizen, respect for the Constitution, national defense, the family, our flag, our faith, are now by some branded as fascist and racist. The very act of flying this flag has brought upon hatred and disgusting commentary from people that you would expect from radical Islamic terrorists or radical people that just hate this country. But these are from our fellow American citizens who feel offended by this flag. At the same time, a radical fringe on the left has openly advanced a socialist ideology while embracing violent extremism that runs counter to Christianity, our Constitution, and even the natural laws in which our republic was founded. Folks, we're not talking about anything other than our Constitution. You can live any way you want. You can worship any way you please. But we have basic fundamental rules of citizenry here that if you can't abide by that, then you must go. We have no room for you at the end. Because I will tell you, America will not stand. We are a house divided. The Bible tells us this. Our enemies know this. They know our Christian faith. And so they think we'll propose that you're a house divided. And that you somehow are going to be able to not be able to come together as a nation of the people, by the people, right? So instead of coming together, they push this radical ideology that says, no, we can't love this flag. We can't support this flag that I love so much that I'm going to make sure that it's up there right. But instead they burn it. And for what reason? Because they hate America. They embrace violent extremism that runs counter to our culture. We are a nation of laws. And if you notice them all, they're all pointing their fingers. And it reminds me of Castro and Lenin. When they were talking, they always pointed their finger like this. In this report, I want to talk about how this shift has occurred and why it is dangerous and why Americans, what we got to do to preserve the nation our founders entrusted to us. Patriotism versus fascism. That is a false narrative. Just because you love America, just because you voted for Donald Trump, does not make you a fascist. Just because you're upholding laws that have been on the books forever does not mean that you're a fascist. Those who fought and defeated Nazism were patriotic Americans, men primarily, and women from all classes, races, and regions who prayed openly. They carried Bibles in their backpacks and respected our flag and our Constitution. The fictional portrayal that such Americans would have supported the radical agenda of today is historically false, and it's insulting. And it needs to stop because it's a lie. Yet many activists and their allies in the media now label veterans, Christians, and law-abiding citizens as fascist. Perhaps someone will see this and they will brand me as a fascist. I'm not a fascist. I'm an American. I'm a Purple Heart recipient. I fought for my country. I love America. I'm willing to listen to you. Whatever you need to say. But I'm not willing to bend a knee at the playing of our national anthem. I'm not willing to sit back and idly watch as our flag is desecrated and as heroes of this nation are labeled as fascist. Those are the same things that were mentioned in the Bolshevik Revolution. They're fascists, they said. The Tsar and his family. These fascists, they're forcing you to live in poverty, they said. It's the same message today. But because our education system has been dumbed down, and you're not allowed to truly study American history and world history, you're allowed to go on, and if you see it on Facebook or on TikTok, it must be the truth. But dig deep into that Bolshevik Revolution and see what you see. The American Republic was founded as a representative government, a republic, not a direct democracy, manipulated by mobs or ideology. You see, that's whenever you could go into a place and the mob would rule. Thank God we have an American Republic, a representative government. But we vote for representatives, not for party-controlled mobs to change the rules midstream. Today's radical movements on all sides are bad. You can't silence the opinion of the left, and you can't silence the opinion of the right. But what you can do is you can come together, and you can do like we've done for nearly 250 years, folks. We had civil debate. People actually came together. They worked things out. This movement today is different. This movement today is in your face 24/7 all the time. Media outlets, people that stand up and say, you know, they're a veteran or a this or a that. I'll be happy to show you my DD 214 anytime and compare it to any radical that's standing up there and saying that they believe in socialist Marxist agendas, or they're calling our police force and the people that serve our nation fascist. Let's compare our DD 214s, our discharges. Let's see who got the honorable discharge here. And let's see who didn't. The people that are calling for the death of fascists, who bear the responsibility for what happened to not only Charlie Kirk, but to dozens of Americans because of violent rhetoric. They burned down towns, assaulted police, destroyed businesses, and disrespected our national symbols. Their conduct mirrors not the greatest generation of World War II, but the violent uprisings of Red October or the extremist tactics of radical Islamic ideology, undermining faith, family, and freedom. This is not progressivism. It's revolutionary chaos. And look, they try to make you feel bad. But what about these poor people? Of course we have feelings for the poor people. But the same people that were screaming about the Palestinian plight now say nothing when the Palestinians are being murdered by Hamas whole scale, except for one man. And that's your president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, who is our president, who said, if you don't stop killing the Palestinian people, we will come and kill you, Hamas. Not the Palestinian children who are being murdered. Where are the flags? Where are the protests? Where are the calls for peace? You say nothing. You cheered October 7th when Israelis were brutally raped and murdered and held hostage for over 2 years. You cheered that on as revolutionary. But the poor Gazan people, the poor Palestinians, they're starving. Well, they're dying now. And you say nothing because you are a hypocrite who only intention that you have is to push forth a radical Marxist agenda that's designed to destroy patriotism and faith. You have vilified Christianity, traditional morality, and derided us as being oppressive because we say the name of Jesus Christ, because we hope that you find him and you ask for his forgiveness and you save your soul. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, and whomsoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. We don't want people to go to hell. We don't want people to live in this violent time. It is good to love your country and to be patriotic and to fly your flag. After 9/11, there wasn't a house on our street that didn't have a flag. They ran out of American flags because people wanted to fly one, because we were a united people, but it took that kind of an attack. But we still had a fringe group. We still had a fringe that were there needling, demonizing America. You want to know why we went and we fought in Iraq and Afghanistan? It had nothing to do with weapons of mass destruction. It had everything to do with taking the enemy, pulling him out of his dens in his country, in his yard, so that we could fight and destroy them there. Just like in Vietnam. We're going to stop communism, and they stopped it. Vietnam is Vietnam. But it didn't go the way that they thought it would go. And eventually, because of the tenacity of these wonderful veterans that fought in the Vietnam War, communism fell. And it fell hard when the wall came down. How dare anyone want to bring back that ideology that built a wall between Germany, that separated families? That's what communism, socialism, and Marxism does. You're either all in or you're all out. The Trump era and the attack on the American culture, the presidency of Donald J. Trump, exposed the intensity of this ideological war. Every policy, every effort to strengthen national security, enforce the law, or defend American workers has been viciously attacked. This is not about Trump as a man. It is about their determination to dismantle American culture and values. And we, as Americans, must wake up. This radical attempt to overthrow our established republic is real. And let me tell you, It's not Democrat against Republican. I know a lot of Democrats out there, John Fetterman being one, who absolutely does not subscribe to this. But he subscribes to the same ideology of John F. Kennedy, who said what? Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And JFK was right. And he was murdered brutally. Brought this country to its knees. Republicans, Democrats. There was only Americans at that time. No one cheered his death except for radical, communist, Russian, and Cubans. That's the truth. Go study your history book. Go see who was celebrating the death of John F. Kennedy. It wasn't the Republicans, who didn't vote for him, by the way, but they darn sure didn't want him killed. Take all the conspiracy theory out of this, folks. He was murdered because he subscribed to his faith in this country, and he was a veteran, a decorated veteran who fought in World War II. Watch about PT 109. The man loved his country. A nation, one nation under God, a nation where freedom is secured by the Constitution, by strong families, by faith, and by the courage of patriots who will not be silenced. This is not just about politics. It's about our survival, folks. The survival of the republic our forefathers built and our World War II heroes defended. They would never walk in the streets with you, Antifa. As a matter of fact, most of them subscribed to the George Patton belief that we should have crushed you and pushed you back into Russia, because that was the Antifa that you are most associated with. Then the true American patriots, they never called themselves anti-fascist. They called themselves Americans. They wore American flags with pride. They didn't burn them. So you see, when did American patriotism become fascism? I don't know. But I'm here with Continue Mission in our restructuring, rebranding, to come back and say, let's pull this country back together. Because if we don't, we are going to fall apart. I think that we have an obligation to have a conversation before we start slinging lead at each other, like we did from 1861 to 1865. Most of you idiots that are out there calling for a civil war have never been shot at. Or if you have, you're a lunatic. To want that to happen on the streets of America is absolute idiocy. To defend the violent criminal conduct that we see going on in our cities in America is lunacy. In the name of what? To appease a radical group that celebrates the death of a father who was murdered in front of his family, who now they've made t-shirts showing where the bullet exited his neck, who laugh and rejoice at death. You know, the Bible tells us to not do those things, to not take pleasure in the pain of another. Even in the great battles, there came a time when you simply didn't say anything. You allow people to mourn. And I get so sick and tired of hearing people say, well, what about this? What about the Epstein files? I don't care. Open them up. Prosecute people that are guilty, no matter who it is. Because we are a country of laws. But I will ask you this. The Epstein files have been in the possession of the government for 3 administrations now. Do you not think in the last administration, if they found the names in there that they thought are in there, that they would have not trumpeted that out? Then they would not have had to have went and had all of these false charges brought out. I find it sad that I can even talk to a 13 or a 12-year-old kid who understands that concept. Why would they hide that when they had it all along? Why would they hide that? Well, because they didn't have it. And if they do, then bring it out. Nobody's saying to stop that. But I want to open up the ability for some questions. I'd like to bring Val and Greg on, and let's get some chatter going here. I didn't mean to take so long, but there it is.
No, that's what was on your heart, James. And this was classic Continue Mission Radio on Friday nights, where you would do these brilliant monologues. And I'm going to say right now that 40 minutes plus should be required listening to all high school grads in the United States. As a matter of fact, required listening to all U.S. citizens who care about our country. Thank you for that. I would like to kind of actually turn the mic back to you again. The folks out there who just tell us who you are.
Yeah.
You've done it before. Give us a brief history. And I also want to, because we're crowding like 47 minutes after the hour, I want to talk about your book, Battle Tested Faith. So mic back to you, Captain.
Yeah, no, I look, let me just start off on the book, okay? I wrote the book Battle Tested Faith, okay? And there it is. You got a copy of it up there as well.
Yeah, Miss Val.
I have to hold it up. Great, Miss Val. Look, this isn't just a war story. It's not a war story. There are some combat scenes in there that are very rough and they're real. I put some harsh language in there because that was really what happened. I want to give you the true story about what war is really like and what you're facing, but more so what I came from and what was so ironic and interesting is the fact that I have another good friend named Dominic Yezo. He's a judge in New York, and he wrote a book called My GI Diary in Vietnam. It's just beautiful. And it's just his diary of all of his time in Vietnam. It's the same story. It's the same struggle. It's the same fear. It's the same looking for something better in life. And he left that environment and came back to not only go to law school, become a successful lawyer, but to also become a judge in New York City and maintain his patriotic love for this country. And he wouldn't take no disrespect from people when he came home. Dominic was not that way, and neither am I. Battle Tested Faith, we didn't know each other when we were writing these books. But if you want to read about a story in Vietnam and you want to read about a story that is in Iraq, there it is. It's available on Amazon. And I want to kind of open up the book. There's a introduction here. War is the ultimate offense to humanity. When you truly experience it, you're never the same, but you must live with it and teach others about the horrible cost and the greater value of empathy and humanity. May God grant all who experience war the peace you have earned. I had this great foreword that was written by Greg, as well as a military chaplain, Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Harlan. And in it, he says, James McCormick is one of those rare men whose story reminds us that the battlefield doesn't end when the war is over. It follows you home. It follows you into your marriage, your memories, and your sleepless nights. But so does faith if you let it. In Greg's wonderful words, he says, being half Canadian, I tend to cry a lot. To this day, I can't watch Field of Dreams without, yes, crying in the end. The fatherhood thing that said McCormick's book was one where I had to stop reading at times, take a quiet moment to absorb what I just read and weep. The children of Iraq, returning from war, homeless and alone, friends dying. The book is not a war story, but it is one that I believe that everyone should take an opportunity and read, because it is about battle-tested faith, and it is about hope through some of the worst times and conditions, and it's very much in your face, and a very true testimony of how this thing went down, what my kids were doing, how people looked at me when I came home, and the struggles that I went through, and the love that I found through Jesus Christ and through that beautiful woman right there, Heather McCormick, my wife, who I met in church, who I truly believe was my gift for not losing my faith. I hope that you'll read it, and I hope that you will absorb it, and I hope you will call me or email me. Look, I want to open up dialogue with people. I don't want to insult people. If you're a Democrat or Republican, it matters not to me. Look, Jesus Christ never said you can't be a Democrat. You got to be a Democrat or a Republican to enter heaven, right? Those that come to the Father, come through me. All of these things are very important for us to realize and understand. I'm here talking about the soul of our nation and the soul of the individual people. And if that's a bad thing, and if people hate me or want to poke fun at me for that, then I will take that shame, because I would be essentially being crucified in so many ways, or being criticized and being attacked because of my faith in Jesus Christ. And in the Bible, it says that that's a good thing. So I'll take it. Bring it on. God bless America, folks. Greg, Val.
You're on fire today. I'm glad to have you in the house. Continue Mission Radio.
That song that you played in the beginning.
Yeah.
Listen, that was created. Okay, we created that. So look, there's nobody out there that can put their mitts on that.
Right? Oh yeah, we're gonna run a tight ship here, Captain. We're gonna run a tight ship. We're gonna be surrounded by the armor of God. Okay, no one's gonna mess with us. Just telling you. It's gonna be a troll-free zone. It's gonna be a political operative-free zone. It's gonna be a censorship canceled, dox, SWAT free zone.
That's right. We'll get swatted. I promise you, we'll all get swatted. So,
isn't that great? I wanted to.
I want to go into some different topics, and I want to try to keep this, lively. But I've been silent for a while.
Yes, you have.
And I watching Charlie Kirk get shot, and watching the way people laughed about his death. No. That's not the America that I fought for.
No.
And those people that are doing that have no place in this country. They really don't. They really don't. They need to leave. They really need to leave. I've never seen anything like it. You know, I did not even rejoice at the death of the enemy that was trying to kill me, physically trying to kill me.
Of course not.
And if
Captain,
you read
what
the
I'm
book,
going to
Battle
do,
Tested Faith, it talks about that. It talks about no man dies easy. Okay.
that's right.
There's a whole thing about that in there. And what was
Captain, what,
done that day was terrible. And it's just, I just can't say enough about it. I'm sorry. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. It's just,
Oh, no,
it's
no,
got
no,
me
no.
really upset.
This is just great stuff. I mean, this is edge of your seat stuff, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. What I want to do, if we can, I want to turn the mic to Miss Val. Give us a quick show summary up to this point. She's just the best at that, just up to this point. Coup on James McCormick, if you like, but we'll also just kick the mic back to him. I want to hear more from him. But do go ahead, Val, and just give us a quick summary and a little bit of what's on your heart.
Well, tonight, I just want to talk a moment about the Veteran Channel. It's featured on Apple TV, Amazon TV, Roku, of course, Greg Meekin's YouTube channel, Rumble, and Facebook pages, and dozens of other platforms. So don't forget to catch Continue Mission here each and every Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we want to say hi to our friends that are watching as well. We've got friends all over the place. Arizona City, Greg, it looks like some of your friends are here. We have some from DC, all across the United States. But if you're listening from another country, do let us know. We want to say hi to Canadians that are watching as well in Alberta. So I'm thrilled just to hear James Hart. You spoke with passion and conviction and also solutions. And that's what it's all about. That's what I heard anyways, was an invitation to come as you are, speak what you want to say, and let's see if we can find some common ground. So back to you, Captain James. It was phenomenal.
Thank you very much. And that is the key to this. That's what we always started Continue Mission nearly 10 years ago, was to have an open, honest dialogue. But I don't want people coming on here just slinging the F-bomb. We're going to keep it PG. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, your freedom ends where mine begins. So understand that. A lot of people think that the freedom means that they could come up and, like they did to some of our troops, that's my freedom. I can come up and spit on you. No. That's called assault. And then, at that point, your freedom ends and ours begin. So, but if we can come on here and we can have a civil debate about, various things, not just a gotcha moment about, oh, what about this? I don't listen. I can't fix what happened in the past. We can go forward in the future. I truly believe that our country is on the right path. Now, I think it's a shame that our government is shut down right now. It's a shame. And people say, well, it's not really affecting anybody. That's not true. There are kids of fallen troops that are going to college right now that are not going to get their pay. Their fathers gave their last ounce for your freedom. Now we can't pay them $1,500 a month because that was part of the promise that was made to these children, because GI Bill shut down. Now, there will be excuses. Well, it was because of a computer glitch or this or that. But ultimately, you're shut down. The other thing is we don't have maintenance, even cutting the grass in the national cemeteries. That is honestly falling on the hands of volunteers. Who's going to wash the wall with 58,000 plus names on it? Who's washing that? Nobody, because we are a government that's shut down. There are so many things that are happening right now. And if it is an attempt to utilize taxpayer funds, for anything other than the advancement of the American people, that's people that are here legally, people that are either citizens or they have a green card or they've come through the front door and not the back door, like you all have done. You all have come to this country through the front door, as you're supposed. You are the example of what we want. When we say, come to us, send us, your wretched refuge, because we are a nation like that. But you can't sneak in here, and you can't come in here and just create havoc. The fentanyl crisis, all of these things. Why would anybody not want to stop that? Why would you want to shut the government down in a political stunt to simply hurt people? And then when we reach out to these politicians and say, please open the government, these veterans are getting hurt, our military could potentially not get paid. It's not, thankfully we were able to do it on the 15th, but will we be able to do it at the end of the month? Maybe not. And more things will be shut down. And I don't understand what they hope to gain from that. $1 billion to put into, they call it, health care for everyone. I'm all for health care for the American people. 100% for it. There is nobody that gets hurt and walks in a hospital that won't get treated, no matter who they are. They have an obligation to treat you. Okay? It's who's paying for it, right? That's always been the problem, And I think that there's a way to fix that. But you fix it by keeping the government open through a clean continuing resolution, and you work it out. As ladies and gentlemen, some of the things that I hear screamed in the halls of our nation's capital is a tragedy. And I wish that they learned how to talk to each other. So, with that being said, we are at the top of the hour, and you have been watching and enjoying this show at Continue Mission. I just want to do a shout out to all my friends and family that are out there. Give a big thank you to Greg Meekin, our producer, and Miss Val. She's our tech gal, not just our military radio gal. I'm telling you, listen, I'm not I lied to you. I am a tech guy. I wish I had the robot that I built. I mean, I have built the damn robot.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Fly drones, I do all that stuff. Yeah.
It was just fantastic. It was just the tip of the iceberg. I want to also shout out here, gentlemen, Byron Tucker Jr., West Virginia,
Love
actually contributor, donated to the show a few days ago, just saying, hey, he supports your work. He loves you. There's West Virginia.
Love you too, brother. He's a veteran too, by the way. He's a veteran too, by the way. United States Navy.
Great guy. He's awesome. He's awesome. You guys are buddies. I know. It just when we didn't even announce it or do a campaign, but when we just opened up for donations of folks who supported us. James, you'll love this, Byron. We had $100 from Florida. We had Washington State. We had Washington State. We had good old Arizona contribute. Just fun stuff. North Carolina.
Yes.
There, North Carolina. So we'll maybe make a game of that down the road. See if we can cover all 50 states with at least $25, whatever. But I can't tell you how much I thank you for sharing your heart today. I am thrilled just to have platformed this, because this is really an anniversary, almost a 10-year anniversary of relaunching Continue Mission. I'm going to turn the mic over to Val and do kind of an outro. We'll always let James get the last word. This is his baby. This is your channel, the veteran channel. So I'll just finish up with thank you so much, everybody out there. Thank you, everybody. And there's a bunch. We heard from some Alberta folks here, James.
I'm really praying for those folks. I'm praying for the Alberta folks. I want them to get their freedom.
Yeah. And there'll be a lot I'd like to do, and because this is really an introductory show, I'd really like to do an entire segment for Alberta. I don't want to shortchange it, but just like you say, hang in there, guys up there, Alberta 51. There's a bunch of guys up there, and a bunch of groups and gals, and a bunch of groups and stuff, and they all have freedom in mind. So whether they are independents, Alberta Independence, or Alberta 51, Alberta 50, USA. That's the ticket. Whichever,
Yeah.
you're on the same team, the team of freedom. And I will say, Captain, you'll like this. I've known so many of those folks over the last 3 years or so. These are the nicest people in the world up there. And
Oh, they're
I would
beautiful
say,
people.
and I always say, and this is my recommendation, we've been watching this close from the US side. And I always say to the folks up there, seriously, start thinking like an American. Start thinking like an American. It's very difficult to picture Alberta as its own state. It would be the shining hill in all 50 states in the United States.
Yeah, I'll
People
go run
can't
for governor.
picture it. Oh, I know. Because remember, these folks need to catch up on their homework. You volunteered to be the first governor of the 51st state of Alberta. Sheriff Mark Lamb volunteered to be the first sheriff. Now remember the name. You remember Gordon Kessler, L. Gordon Kessler. He actually connected me with you because you had him on your show.
Yeah, I know Gordy. Yeah, absolutely.
And Gordy, he
famous voice. I've heard him on many radio shows.
Oh yeah, and he's a published author. He was an oil spy. It was just awesome. But Gordy, and this is a shout out to him, to Gordon Kessler. He's over 80 now. I think Gordon was like 110 years old last I checked. Amazing guy. And he is Alberta 51. He is Alberta USA. He even volunteered to be interim governor because he was the only elected leader in the 20th century who was an Alberta separatist. There was one in the 19th century, but only one. But nobody touches Gordon Kessler as far as his commitment to the cause, his clarity of the cause. He has been on our show. He's on my YouTube, all over my YouTube channel, on past shows. So that's a shout out to him. You are a rock star, Gordon Kessler. You're a rock star, and you worked your butt off, really, in the last decades. So
Listen, I was listening to him speak about this way back when he talked on.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the radio show now. Daggone it. It was a late night show, but I used to listen to him talk.
Wow. Yeah. And he's been on Americanuck Radio up in Edmonton with Mike Phillip. We were again on with you, Continue Mission out of West Virginia. He's been on our platform a half dozen times. Again, on my YouTube channel. I'm just going to kind of sign off. We're about hour and 7 into this. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to turn it to Val. And Val, if you can do an outro, I'll give you, James, the last word, just to reach out to anyone out there who you want to touch base with. But in the meantime, and we did it again today, I always say, wake up in kindergarten every day. There's so much to learn in so little time. Because before you know it, you're in first grade. God love you, Captain. God love you, Val. You start taking the show out.
Okay, I'm going to be real quick because I have a special guest I want to say good evening to tonight. She's actually staying in my house. She's a freedom fighter from Alberta. She's 83 years young. She's known as Lady Liberty in Alberta, and she was so excited to cross the border into America. She's close friends with the Montana Senator. Craig is his first name, Craig Hunter. And she was actually leading the parade in Montana. She had the Alberta and the USA flag on her motorhome called Freedom that she's driving right across the country. And she's really nervous about returning back to Canada because communism is there. And she said her goal, she has bumper stickers and hats, and she's saving up money. She would love to go to the White House and speak with President Trump. Her father is actually American, but she lives in Alberta, and she would love to live here in the United States. So you never know. You might see freedom in DC. So just if you happen to run into President Trump, please let him know that Paulette says hi. So I just wanted to share that. Just a quick update on Paulette McCullough. She'll be here with me for a few more days, I hope. She'll stick around for a little while. So tonight is Continue Mission. This is what it's all about. And I'm excited. We're going to get back on the airwaves Friday nights. And don't forget, you can download the Veteran Channel app, which is now on Roku, Apple, Prime, and all across YouTube. Greg Meekin has donation links up. So really easy. Just click on the link and you can drop a donation, and we will make sure that we make you famous and thank you for that donation, because that's what keeps the lights on around here and keeps this message going. Captain James, thank you so much for being here and just speaking from your heart as it is. I love it. So back to you.
Well, just to close this out, I want to send a shout out to all my U.S. regulator friends that are out there.
Yeah.
I came here dressed for battle, okay? This is the 518th Combat Gun Truck Company, United States Regulators. We were the only provisional combat gun truck company stood up in the middle of a war, and we took the fight to the enemy on the roads in Iraq. And it's a very famous story. We were called the Regulators, and we were the U.S. Regulators, and we wore these stars like Texas Rangers, and we really operated a lot like Texas Rangers in the old days, to where we really went after or the old U.S. Marshals. The U.S. Marshals, they have a great coin. I got one. I wish I brought it with me. But on the front of it, it's a United States Marshal. On the back of it has a picture of a guy, pointing a pistol, and an old West, hat. It says, "Justice is coming." Justice is coming, baby. And I'm telling you, that's what's happening right now. Justice is coming. But we don't have, you don't have to be afraid of justice if you are a justice-minded person. It's like, if I hear the police pull up, I'm not afraid, because I haven't broke no laws. If someone calls me, I've always said this, the best defense against a lie is what? The truth.
Truth, baby.
So, there's only one way to tell the truth, a million ways to tell a lie. You'll always catch a liar like that. So God bless you, and God bless America. And thank you for watching us on Continue Mission on the Veteran Channel. You're going to see this and many other shows that are coming up. We're going to do some documentaries. I want to do this real shout out. We'll get some documentaries coming where we're going to be interviewing what we call, government military jobs. These are what I call the unsung heroes of the military. Don't think that everybody that joins the military is carrying a rifle and shooting lead down range. We could not do that mission without our cooks, without our mechanics, without our clerks, without our logistics people. Logistics is one of the biggest force multipliers in the military. And you know who understands that? My good friend Pete Hegseth. Secretary of War Hegseth. Him and I worked together. I was his Vets for Freedom West Virginia state chairman.
Wow.
And I will just tell you that I was one of 81 retired U.S. Army officers that proudly wrote a letter in support of him becoming the Secretary of War.
Nice.
And I am thankful for his service to this country. I am thankful for what he's doing with the military now. I'm very thankful, and I'm thankful for the way things are going in our country. I wish that we had more civility. That's the platform here.
Yeah.
Civility, decency is the American way. God bless you. And have a good night.
Thank you, Captain McCormick. Val, take us out here, and salutes to everybody out there. You vets, okay? You vets, salutes to you. It's for you. Thank you, Captain. You're awesome. God bless everybody. Val, take us out.
Continue Mission Radio on the Veteran Channel. Veterans are military, law enforcement, first responders, and Border Patrol. Thanks, everyone. Your mission starts now.
Welcome to Continue Mission Radio with Captain James McCormick. By veterans, for veterans. Guest hosts tonight are author Greg Meekin and Miss Val, our military radio gal. Continue Mission starts now.
You got me headed to the left, headed to the right, headed back and forth, but baby, it's alright. You got me going to the east, going to the west, going up and down, 'cause baby, you know best. never coming back, cause baby, you're the
Welcome to Continue Mission